Re-traumatized. That's a beautiful, not beautiful word, but that's a great word. What else?
Rage.
Rage. What else?
Anger.
Angry. What else?
Disappointment.
Confused. Disappointment. What else?
Hurt. I was appreciative. The truth was out.
Hurt. Say that one more time.
I was appreciative that the truth was out.
Appreciative that the truth come out. Clap it up for that. Now, man, I felt very similar, but I was also enraged that it took so damn long. It took so damn long. So the fact being that we now have this platform and now we are getting a chance to speak, to me, is kind of embarrassing. It is embarrassing. So for someone such as me, I'm 30. I'm getting old. I'm 37 years old. So knowing this, I'm an old man. But don't laugh too hard. Shit. But to see the history when I was just 2, 3, 4 years old is crazy. It is crazy. So the segment that I'm going to speak to Joseph and Charles about has to do with mental health, has to do with trauma, has to do with the emotional states of not only them and what they felt back then, but how they are dealing with it now. I do want to make sure, though, this segment's not just about me conversing with them. I want y'all to also speak as well. So if you have questions, please jump on the QR code. If you have questions you want to state, there will be an opportunity for y'all to speak, because I really do believe in the ideology of community care, all of us coming together as one, speaking as one, healing as one. That's how we're going to progress. Sounds good? All right. So can we please clap it up for both Joseph Bennett and Sean Ellis? Yeah, y'all can come sit down too. Y'all sitting right there.
And pass them around as we go. There's another mic. Yeah, there's another mic.
Should I start rapping? Yo. All right, this is good. This is good. So why don't we start off real simple? Why don't we just do an introduction around? Why don't we do a small introduction? And please be mindful if I cut you off, it's out of love. I want to make sure. Everyone gets a chance to speak, and we really get to the essence of some of the goals that we have here today. So, want to go ahead and introduce yourselves? Go ahead.
Douglas.
Oh, the mic's not on.
Try it with this one.
Jamal Douglas, Danny Jackson,
Dwayne Crew Third,
Matt Hudson,
Stephen Pina,
Sean Ellis,
And Joseph Bennett.
I love it. So I asked the audience what was one word or what's the emotions that they feel looking at, honestly, both documentaries, right? We got the Trial 4, we got your documentary. I want to ask y'all, what's the words that kind of describe your emotional state when you looking back at that time and when you see everything that you lived? This is like y'all lives on the screen. What's some of the words that come to mind?
So there's two things that immediately come to my mind looking at when I look back at my documentary Trial 4, and then when I watched each episode of A Murder in Boston, and it was fair and sadness.
Yeah.
Why is that? Go ahead. Because it's, as a young black male, like growing up, it's like I was raised in a way that, I was supposed to be safe, right? I was supposed to be protected. But to be hunted by the people that's supposed to be making you feel safe and protected, right? Like I didn't feel security. My own parents couldn't protect me.
Yeah.
So if I can't get that safety at home, then where am I going to get it?
I love that.
Go ahead. I mean, I told y'all how I felt. This was something that ate at me. It bothered me to the point where all I wanted to do was make that promise and keep it, and we did that. You know, so I was upset.
Describe the promise.
Huh?
Describe the promise to everybody.
So, you know, my uncle never wanted to talk. He never wanted to talk about it. You know, he did one interview with a newscaster and talked about it for the first time, and that was it. And he was like, I'm not talking about it no more. So I said, well, let me get it done the right way, man. You know what I'm saying? They only gonna show that clip for a little about 10 seconds. Let me get it done the right way. And he gave me his blessings. And when he said that, I said, I'm gonna get it done the right way. And we got it done the right way.
Anyone of y'all want to jump in terms of any emotion, words that describe your emotional state? Go ahead, bro.
I was proud of Joey, you know, because he did it. He did the damn thing, man. But I was also infuriated because, you know, certain officers that I seen done, I knew how they acted. I knew how they were. And to see what his family went through, to get the behind the scenes, to see that footage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this was the first to see the way they did this, you know, but although I was pissed, it's like, that's what they do to us.
Right there. How many of y'all signing hands also agree that you felt that that's just how they do us?
Yeah.
Look at that.
What I will say that surprised me was how angry it made the white people.
For them to actually see the truth now, they was mad that they got duped too. Like all them years they was believing that story, that book, all that letter, everything. Y'all got duped too. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff. I know he was.
Well, to see that, the documentary, it opened up a lot of wounds because I lived through it. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of stuff that y'all seen, but y'all didn't see. Like them laying us in the snow, making us lay on our stomachs in the snow, pulling shotguns out on us, stuff like that. Like, I'm happy for him and for my brother and his family. They finally got the truth out, their side of the story and all that, but I'm still angry.
Yeah.
Like, being a little kid and having the stuff that was done to us, it made me bitter, it made me angry, it made me the person that I was when I was out there running the streets doing what I was doing. I took my anger out on my own people, on the wrong people, but I was really angry at them. You know what I'm saying? I'm still bitter. I appreciate the apology that they gave to his family. I'm trying not to swear, but she shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
It should have been done a long time ago.
And
It eases the pain, but it don't wipe the pain away.
Now, you said a couple of good things too, right? Question for you: how do you, and this anyone can jump in, of course, because a lot of y'all, you're watching your lives on screen, and I can imagine the weed triggers, it opens these doors, a flood of emotions, and you're going down memory lane, and then you get infuriated, like you say. How do you now manage that emotional state? How do you handle feeling bitter, frustrated, pissed off, angry? Because we already know there's a lot more Bennett families out there that didn't get the apology, unfortunately.
Well, you got it.
Well, I like to answer that. I mean, for me, let me just echo. I'm still angry, right? There's a lot of brothers and sisters that are languishing behind the walls today that these officers were directly responsible for. The same ones who did this was the ones that were, in my case, that sent me away for 33 years. And others that are still there. And even though that these investigative techniques that they were using were deemed illegal by the Attorney General's office and the U.S. Attorney's office, right? So we all know that this is a matter of public record, but yet no one has moved to rectify what has happened to us still. So where's the atonement happening?
Mm-hmm. And what does rectifying look like to you? What does rectify look like to you?
Rectify is the same thing that happened with the Annie Dugan situation, right? Anything that she touched or was responsible, we questioned the integrity and therefore the convictions had to be reversed. In this situation, that has not been the result.
So if I can just add on to that, and then I want to answer the question, right? But it's I'm fearful that because we're identifying, right, law enforcement. See, Annie Dugan wasn't law enforcement; she worked for law enforcement. Okay, we're identifying law enforcement and saying this is how our community was policed during this dispensation of time, right? And the Bennett family has received an apology from the city. The court itself has acknowledged that there is a race issue within the court system itself and how our community is policed. The court has said that it is not probable cause that for a black person, black people have reason to run away from the police. The court said that, not me, okay? And so when we're dealing with the systemic issue that's going on, I'm fearful that we won't have somebody that grabs the bull by the horn and say, we gotta stop the mass production of black and brown bodies going into prison, right? And take a look at what's going on within the criminal legal system. Because I have 22 years, my brother has 22 years, my other brother has 28 years, my brother has 34 years, my brother has 25 years, my brother has 10 years, my other brother has 20. You add that all up, that's 160 years of incarceration, okay? And then on average,
And they go past.
in past, almost 50 years of incarceration okay?
By the same detectives.
By these same detectives. By these same detectives. When I came home, I said that it wasn't about Sean Ellis, that there was others.
Keep talking.
I said that, we said that I wasn't the only one. You're hearing it being echoed louder because we're showing and proving that there's others. We're showing and proving there was a problem, there was a systemic, and continues to be a systemic problem with the way that our community is policed. Now, let's talk about the mental health issue that you brought up, because they package us up, right, and they send us away into these prisons. Okay, and they leave a void in our family. So these young 25-year-olds, 20-year-olds, these young adults that you're saying you have a problem with, where their fathers? So you create a void. You create a void in a community when you police our community in the way that you police our community, and so you recreate the next generation of young black and brown people that goes into the system. We got to stop that intentionally. This isn't by mistake. And then when we come home, let's talk about the resource that we have when we come home.
Let's talk about it.
When we come home, you open the door and say, okay, you're free, go home, put it back together. You don't give us anything to deal with the oppression, the abuse, the physical abuse, the mental, emotional abuse, none of the harm that was done, right? You just set us to go home. And so when the like of Joe Bennett comes home and create a yard time to help deal with the mental health issues, what kind of support is beyond? What kind of support is behind that? He had the desire, but while we was in prison, you was in college. We might not have the intellectual capacity as individuals, so we bring people around to help. But you can help develop the structure that we need in order to help ourselves.
So what's interesting? Nah, clap it up for that. Clap it up for that. So that goes into multiple different things, right? And thank you for sharing. Seriously, thank you for sharing. I read one statistic that stated that if you got locked up, you have a 70% chance that you'll have at least one mental health issue. At least one. So that means it could be 50% chance that you got 2 or more. Right? 30% chance you have 3 or more. And then the picture that you painted is that now you're still coming home to being fathers, husbands, uncles. You got to go back into society. You got to be workers. All of that shit. And excuse my language.
That's not anger, that's passion.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And the reason why it's crazy is because it was done on purpose. That's what, it wasn't on accident. It was systemic. So now when you have something like Yard Time, and I know there's so many other beautiful nonprofits and programs going out there, I do believe it is our responsibility. This is my challenge to everybody. It is our responsibility to elevate individuals such as both of you guys, everyone on stage, because I know some of the stuff you're doing. We have a QR code up there for the Bennett Fund for on purpose, because it's our responsibility to give back to the real people who are doing the real. I'm so tired of these scholars getting paid for your stories. I'm so tired of scholars getting paid 10, 15 grand to talk about the lives that y'all lived. It's absolutely crazy. So yeah, I know someone's about to. Were you about to jump in and say something, bro?
Well, no, I was just going to speak to the point dealing with the trial for and the murder in Boston. And one of the things that stood out about the murder in Boston was it didn't show some of the personal stuff, like Jamal was saying, where when they came into, they being the police, when they came into police Mission Hill and Orchard Park and Dudley and the rest of these areas, they were taking whole buses of African American people and having them exit that bus and search every one of them because they were looking for somebody that looked like Willie Bennett, that knew something about Willie Bennett, that knew of Willie Bennett. If you said you knew Willie Bennett, listen, we're going to pull you to the side because you might know something that we need to know. Now, minus the fact that some person fictitiously said a black man did this, and because he was infamous at the time, or well known at the time, in the Mission Hill area, that was hook, line, and sinker. We're going after this individual. We're going to terrorize this neighborhood because he did it.
I love that.
He did it. And so that was one of the things that I didn't see in the video. But also with the trial 4 thing, you know, that's personal as well because, you know, that's a good friend of mine. And, you know, we went through the struggles. All of us went through these struggles together in bringing that case, you know, into fruition, getting the light and energy and momentum that it was getting, because there's people on this panel that made it possible for his story to shine. And come on, you got it, boy.
I'm good. Y'all know why I'm crying. These two right here worked on my case, yo. That's these two right here worked on my case. They brought me to the law library to get me home. So when he say that, he means that. That's why they up here. That's why we all walk the yard together. And it's more out there that I walk this yard with. They did that. They brought me home. They work with my attorney. When they say paralegals, they're going to say murder. They're going to say Matt. They're going to say M1. They're going to say Sean. They're going to say Steve. When they talk about these legal heads, they talk about them. They bringing dudes home from jail. There's still some great legal heads that need to come home that they can't even get their own case over time, but they still sending us out here to do the work for them. And that's when we coming back for them. Leave no man behind.
It's funny that he says that because there's 3 brothers on this panel with me, man, that taught me the law. You understand? One is sitting behind me. Had a class in there. Dwayne, you know, I'm gonna call you Dwayne, man, because, you know, Cy, I remember having a situation with a lawyer, and I went to Cy, Sean, I call him Cy, and he's like, what's the problem? I said, I don't understand what she's saying, man. He said, well, he told me, he says, you know, go look at it. And I told him, listen, and what I loved about these three brothers is I told them, explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old. And when you are learning the law, that is like learning Chinese arithmetic. So these brothers had to come down to a 4-year-old, like, really simplify it, man. But here I am, 29 and a half years later, sitting on the stage with these brothers, and I whispered in their ear, a few of them like, yo, we outside. We outside. And as far as the mental health question, I have to say,
Go ahead,
y'all time. Say with me, y'all time. So when I came home, I had an 8 o'clock curfew. And when I heard about y'all time, I was like, what? Joey, dude? Yeah, I need to, too, can you write a letter? Wrote a letter. The judge heard about his program and said, I'm going to lift your curfew so that you are able to go to this program. So, you know it. And I go every Tuesday from 6:30 to 8:30, right? It's part of my agenda. Toma Community Center. Anytime I see someone that's come home, I tell them about y'all time. I speak about y'all time as if I'm on the board. You understand what I'm saying? But I am a member of y'all time. I know how y'all time started. See, y'all time started in the yard, just like basement talk. We walked the yard, we cried together, we talked together, we talked about our cases. You know what I mean? So,
love it.
I love you, man. You know that, bro. I love you, man.
So, cool question, right? How you doing? What responsibility, I would love to ask you, what responsibility do you believe politics have to do with this? And how come it feels as though there's a lack of policies or politicians involved when it comes to making shit move?
Well, thank you. I'm timely. Actually, it's an hour to come from Boston to go to Boston. And while most of my colleagues are on vacation, I had to go into the State House today. And I wouldn't come for anybody else, but Sean and a lot of the men up here, actually every single one of you, made me come out. And I just think you need to give them a round of applause because I've known about the Bennetts for a long time. I was only 9 years old when the Charles Stewart saga happened, but I've been friends with a Bennett for a long time. She so Charlie. I always tell people I've been an elected official 5 years, but I've been Roxbury Lizzie my whole life. And so that's who I'm coming up and showing up as. And I just want to share a little story before I answer that, because the truth is, everything in our lives is political. And I didn't know how important politicians or elected officials were until I saw my friend, I know he's in the audience, Rufus, run for office. And his run for office taught me a lot about when you love a community or you love a people, how much you're willing to sacrifice to be able to be in a leadership position that is very difficult to be in as a woman, as a Black person, particularly in the space that I'm in the State House. But he taught me a lot about showing love in a different way. But I would have never ran for office if my youngest brother, Michael, wasn't killed. And in 2017, when Michael was shot outside of a Boston nightclub, I thought I had a good life. I was a nonprofit leader. I had spent 15 years as a promoter and radio personality in Boston. Felt like I made a lot of money, had a good time, had a lot of friends. And I felt different. You know, he wasn't the first person that had been killed. For those of us that are Cape Verdean, I see Carlos, yes, I when I was walking in here. We've been losing a long time, and a lot of us have. And when I grew up in Roxbury, I still live in the same home, same number, same road. And we were in a Cape Verdean war where we were literally losing on both sides. Many times people were losing to incarceration, we were losing people to death. I say all of this because when I got to the State House after winning my race, really fueled by the pain of losing my brother, not being able to save my brother, I had already been dealing with incarceration. For folks that don't know, I was the only elected official that had a sibling in the Mass DOC when I was elected. I was one of two, and it just happens that both of us were Black women, Rep. Tyler and myself, who had lost siblings to gun violence. And my oldest brother and my father both did time and were deported. So I already came to the State House, well, not only Roxbury on my back, but I came to the State House with this intimate reality of what it's like to visit a prison when you're a kid, when you're a teenager, when you're a young adult. And when I walked on the campus of Wellesley, my father and brother were getting shipped out while I was going to a top women's college. So I come with all of that, and many of the men that I see today, I had to visit. You know, I spent a lot of time visiting Miss Angie and to Mac and to Stephen and all these people that are now free, because I felt an obligation and a responsibility, not only as an elected official, but as a human, to understand that the people that are incarcerated have families, they have stories, they have people who love them, and they're in the care and custody of the Commonwealth. All 200 of us, and the governor, and they're not throwaway people. So we have everything to do with this, and I just want to share to the people who are here because you care about the issue but have never had a connection to incarceration. We have a criminal legal system problem in Massachusetts, and we don't need another report to tell us this, okay? The Department of Justice has already told us that we have a problem. We have more people serving life without parole in the Commonwealth, and many of them are Black, and many of them went in as young people. We didn't need murder in Boston or even Trial 4 to tell us that cops in our communities, we're police officers very different to us in Roxbury and Dorchester and Mattapan than they are in Wellesley or they are to grandmothers. We understand this deeply, and we need other people to understand that we have a problem in the state of Massachusetts. Don't let anybody, and I'll finish here, tell you that the most progressive issue is X. The most progressive issue that you can work on if you consider someone being in equity and justice is ending mass incarceration in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, is there any other elected official out here? There we go. I see a hand over there. All right, perfect. All right. Just wanted to point something.
Just point out. So that's Rep. Erica. Can you stand up from Somerville? Give it up. She's done a lot of work. But this is an example of, I asked Erica to visit Framingham Women's Prison with me, and after that one visit, she has taken on the mantle of not only reading the DOC to filth. She came prepared, y'all. She had stacks of paper. You know, I could cut someone out, but I don't always have the facts. But someone that is deeply committed, and you know, when I was visiting incarcerated people, I was maybe one of two, maybe one of three, and now I'm one of a dozen. And it's because women like her said, I know I came to the State House to work on XYZ, but what I'm really going to do is I understand that this is a problem. And she returns every email, returns every call. She cusses out the DOC really good. And I just want to thank you for being a good partner with me in this piece, even though your district doesn't work on that.
Perfect. I want to ask, I just want to go back. I do want to ask a question so the audience get a chance to actually know everyone on here. How many of y'all went in jail as an adult versus teenager, or teenager versus adult? Just out of
You went in as adult? Adult?
What age adult?
They went in at 30 years old.
30? 20s?
24.
24?
I went in at 17.
17?
25.
25?
First time.
First, when we said first time?
15.
15?
15.
19? Robbie?
He said 14.
Oh, so it's a 14? 14. Now, I'm asking, especially you when you went in at 15. I think that's the youngest on stage, right? 15? 15. How did it shape your mindset in your outlook when you think about society, when you think about community, when you think about all of that? How did it shape your mindset at that young age? And then I'm going to compare it to how did it shape your mindset even in your 20s and 30s, of course.
For me, it just I went to jail during the student. I was 15. Like they made sure that I sat down for however long they sat my uncle down. I was sitting at DYS around the same time. So it made me angry. I was angry. I can reflect that anger. Like I said, I went from being like a little car thief, dirt bike rider, to being accused of all kinds of other stuff.
Crazy.
So yeah, bad.
But,
I mean, I like to think that I went in relatively late, man. You know, not that there's a time, but I went in at 30 years old, man. You know what I mean? When my life was somewhat established. I'd like to ask a lot of people in the crowd, do you guys know about Metco? I'm sure you do.
Yes.
Okay, for everybody saying yes, 9 times out of 10, a lot of you guys went there. So when I seen murder in Boston, right, it humbled me first and foremost, because paying attention to all that racism, and I'm not going to say I didn't see it, but I went to Metco. I didn't experience a lot of that. Busing and the rocks, the bricks, the spitting, I didn't experience it. My family kept me away from that. I want to tell a quick story that kind of brought me back to that. At 7 years old, some of you guys may know this, driving up American Legion Highway in the 70s, going past McDonald's was a danger zone for black people. Most people that drove to that McDonald's made that U-turn right there on purpose. One day my mother went through it. My mother went through that, and it was just, I guess it was the luck of the draw. 3 white guys ran out, bricks, sticks, bats, broke my mother's windows. My mother threw me down, covered me up. They gave her 26 stitches in her head with a brick. Wow. Now, the ironic thing about that was, remember I said I went to Metco. So when the family ran out to help us, it was a white family. Okay, when they brought us inside, because I went to Metco, and I'm not saying this to down Boston public, but I knew everything I needed to know to explain and express to paramedics and police who my mother was and where we lived and everything. I say that because my experience in Metco made me understand racism at 7 years old, because a lot of the people that I went to school with weren't bad people. They were white, they weren't bad people. I seen another side of that when I came on this side of town. So that was just a little story from my life. But today, you know, I did 10 years at 30 years old. I was with a woman that was my friend and wife for 30 years. I did my 10 years. I got out. She passed away in 8 years. I robbed her of our life, basically. You know what I mean? That sits with me all the time. Today, I am extremely happy to be able to sit in front of all of you and have this conversation, because I've done an extreme amount of work on myself.
What you do for work?
Okay, so getting all the way back around to that. Today I build reentry packages for individuals coming out 90 to 120 days in the state system. I I love it so much that the politics piss me off a lot of times, but because I feel like I owe it to my guys, my community, I stay.
He goes back into the jail. That's the best part about it.
He goes back into the jail.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that's the best part for me. Like, he goes back into the jail and get these guys ready to come out. That's something that they wasn't doing. Like Sean said, they dropped me off. Right. I went to court. I didn't know I was going to get bailed out or get released. They just said, go. I said, holy crap. And y'all see me. I was dancing, happy, yard time, everything. But I wasn't mentally ready.
One last thing, though. Just one last thing. Go ahead. About this mental health. I will sit right before everybody in here and let you know that I am in shambles as a person. But because I have no choice, I deal with it. I remember when these two dudes, and this is after all of them experienced the yard time interest. But when two came home, we started talking about it. I was there from the beginning. I try to make it every day because personally, this is what I need, you know? And I'm never going to be ashamed to say who I am in front of anybody. I think that's one of the greatest things that I've been able to accomplish was confidence within myself. So.
I too am a Mecca alum, and one of the things that I remember, excuse me, is I grew up in Austria projects, right? Living in poverty, but my mother made the best of a bad situation, so I didn't really know that was poverty, right? But I remember leaving the brick buildings and getting on the highway and going to the town and seeing houses, right? But then I remember staying after school sometimes for sports or schoolwork or what have you. And then when we finished, we were able to hang around the town. And it's that part. Because the amount of police that I've seen in the town of Needham didn't equate to the amount of police that I've seen in my neighborhood, not even in the city, in my neighborhood. So it's like we started talking about how our communities are policed and the effects of that on our mental health, right? But it's as young people, you know, it's like Willie Bennett. It's just we're being thrown up against the wall. We're being told to lay on the ground and shotguns put to the back of our head by the people, the police that are supposed to be protecting us. Right, but that's how our communities were policed. So now we go into the court system, and let's bring it back to that. And they're withholding evidence. They don't want to confront the police misconduct that's going on. The withholding of evidence is the prosecutorial misconduct. Right. In my case, right, the Judge McDaniels allowed them to withhold the evidence that ultimately led to my freedom. Right, so when we speak about the injustices that the Bennett family face and that my family face, it's the injustice that's going on in the community. So how do we rectify that? What happened with Rachel Rounds? Right, in that election after her, it's like what's going on with the people that's in office now, not dealing with the situation now. Trial for listed names, a murder in Boston listed names. There's testimony on there. You seen it when the officer said we'll never know who killed Carol. You see this, so if that's his disposition, what about the people who are in prison that's innocent, right? That's under his watch and the lights thereof. What about the cases where they put the screw to somebody and say, you better say this? Yeah. You better say this, because if you don't, you're going to be in the same shoe. You're going to be in the same boat, right? The person say it, and then years later, it's like, well, you know, that wasn't the case, right? But the court, it was good enough to convict.
It was good enough to send a black body to prison, but the person comes home and say, well, yeah, well, you know, I lied and I was pressured, I was coerced to say what I said, but it's good enough to bring it. It's not good enough to bring a black body home. Make that make sense.
Well, I just wanted to, I don't know if this is working.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I wanted to kind of like follow that because that leads me to the whole apology thing, right? And although I appreciate the fact that Mayor Wu would step up and do that, but that it can't be the end of the conversation, right? It's like, if Mayor Wu recognizes that, then what else is she doing to internally now to uproot those records from all those previous cases? Is that even a question? Is that even something she's considering, right? I mean, how do we cash in on that apology? Is that apology sincere? And if it is, then what steps are next so that all the others who are trapped, you know, can actually see the day of light again?
So you bring up a great point. What do y'all, even though we're trying to talk a little bit about mental health, but I feel like the conversation shifted, and I think it's perfectly fine, by the way. But I love this shit. Right? What do y'all think should be some of the next steps that we have right now in the city of Boston? How do we continue this, and how do we rectify it? How do we help you, help others?
I want to say, listen, man. Go ahead, bro. And I see that a lot of us are like tiptoeing around it. You know, like seriously, they railroaded everyone. We know what they did. They created integrity units. Rachel Rollins showed us the way, right? She's identified a list of bad actors that she's already said, this is the way we should treat everyone on that list. Granted, the list didn't go far enough, you know, but this is something that we can now come back and rectify and have it rectified. And if those are in office are not responsible and won't be accountable to our community, then we need to have a serious conversation about removing them. You know, point blank. Let's stop like cutting around or going around the bush, you know. And I want to say, you know, our sister did a marvelous job there. But just like when you do something that benefits your community, you will be under a spotlight, and they're gonna do everything to bring her down. And that's what happened. And I stand on that. I stand on it because everybody else want to be silenced about it, you know. And when she had our back, you know, we expected her to have our back, but we won't have her back in her time in need. So I want to speak directly to that.
Love it. I'd love to hear everyone else. What do y'all think some of the next steps are? Go ahead, man.
Stephen, can I just jump in a quick second? You know, because I have this duality in my life, right? I'm from this community, and, you know, we work on a lot of legislation together. But I want to make it clear. One thing I do want to give kudos to Mayor Wu is she apologized for someone else's wrong. And most of the people who were the Attorney General, the DA, the mayor at the time, who the officers were that were working in Mission Hill and around, because it happened in Mission Hill, but a lot happened in also OP and surrounding communities in Roxbury, they're still alive. And I want to shift your mind to move away from Boston and know that this is a judicial problem, and the courts are at fault. Oftentimes when we bring issues to DOC, they say, we're just housing people, right? You know, where they're being convicted and convicted longer and convicted without justice. It's basically in our court system. And so I want us, and my next step is I think we need to bring this to the governor and the lieutenant governor. She has a lot of power. The governor's council has a lot of power. The parole board has a lot of power to be able to bring people home or rectify wrongs.
So can I ask a question? When you say we need to bring it to the governor, how do we bring it?
I think the way that you bring it is just, we're all constituents of the Commonwealth. I think sometimes we overthink this, that because we need to qualify ourselves. If you live in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, whether you voted for me or not, you still live in my district. I'm meant to represent you. So the governor, who is probably one of the most progressive governors we've seen in a while, can be held to task. And I think what we do is, as a community, we have to do this together, y'all. This is the thing about division, is we got there's a lot of things to work on, but if we focus on one thing and basically bring it to her attention, because we can't assume that she knows everything about this, and say we believe that the court system here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has continuously and often railroaded young men from our communities, because it's not just Boston, it's Brockton, it's Lawrence, it's Lowell, it's Fall Revere, Springfield, it's New Bedford, and they all just happen to be gateway cities with more people of color than Caucasian people. So I think that that's the direction that I want to go, and I do want to shout her out because this was 34 years. They could have apologized and made a course of action a long time ago, but they did not. And the reason why I'm here is because some of the officers named in trial for, some of the officers named are still getting paid. They're either on the force today and haven't retired, recently retired, or have a hefty pension from the city of Boston, and they are probably hiding somewhere because they don't want this stuff to come out. So we need to make it come out.
Just to piggyback on what Liz says about this being part of the criminal legal system, I'll never call it the justice system because there's no justice for our people. But I remember having these conversations. Sometimes I can be a storyteller, but I remember having these conversations with Cy while inside and my attorney as well. So up here on this stage, there's 105 years of wrongful conviction. 105 years of wrongful conviction. And the judicial system has what they call 278-33E, where they're supposed to look at your case as a miscarriage of justice. From day one, us four brothers with that 105 years said from day one we were innocent. We got convicted, we filed out appeals, and when we filed out our appeals, we filed them under that 278-33E along with some other things, miscarriage of justice. Every time I did that, my decision came back that there was no miscarriage of justice. There was an error, but it was harmless. And you had a fair trial. So now you look at Sean Ellis, who comes home after 22 years as an exonerated. You have a Stephen Peanut doing 28 years, I'm free, but I'm still fighting. You have a Joey Bennett who did 22 years, free, but still fighting. They dropped the ball because if you have someone that's exonerated, that means one, there was a miscarriage of justice. Two, the error that you said was harmless had to be an error. And three, they didn't get a fair trial. So the ball was dropped at a stage that it's not supposed to be. So that needs to be addressed as well.
I love it.
You know what I mean? So
go ahead. I know you're about to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, and again, I can't reiterate this enough, right? At every level, needs to be some level of accountability and responsibility, right? I mean, although, like I said, Mayor Wu did a beautiful thing. There's much that Mayor Wu's in position she can do. I agree with Liz that we should also be trying to get to the governor's ear to also have her seek some redress. But no one who has the ability to rectify this gets a pass, right? No one. So if you have the ability to unearth and start looking at this and investigate this, then that is what you should be doing because that is right. So that's why I question, and I think we should all critique this because this is what they've been able to do to us for years. They come out, they say, good boy, or it's good girl, or give us a pat on the back, make us feel good, and then still we get no relief. What did that apology do for his family? They gave him $12,000, and that was it. Is that going to rectify the loss that his family experienced? So I'm sorry. I mean, that apology don't do much for me. And that's just the truth. It just doesn't do much for me at all. So, is it on? Yeah, no, it's on. So, going back to what Mac M1 said was
the start of it, because names were named.
Yes.
People were identified. So you know who to go after. And when you look at that, you look at it from a criminal justice standpoint. Everybody on the stage know what it means to be held joint venture. Present at the scene. Knowledge another one intends to commit a crime. Aid if necessary. That's what happened. So you have names of everybody, because if he did a crime and we were all together, every last one of us are getting pulled in for what he did, because we were there, because we knew of it and didn't stop it.
And y'all seen his family at the end. His sister knew. Yeah,
exactly. So if we knew, and we know now, some of us knew earlier, but we know names of individuals. Why can't we, as a community, seek that these individuals who were part of this misconduct, this wrongdoing, this unjust conviction, be held accountable, being taken out of their pensions? See, the best way, that's one thing you don't do when you're messing with the opposite race. You do not mess with their money. You can mess with their girlfriends, you can take a flight. But when you decide that you want to mess with my money, we got a problem. Because black people and white people don't have the same assessment of money. Black people get $5,000, they're in the club, they're balling up. A white person has $5,000, baby, I don't know how they're going to survive. Because there's two different levels of thought processes. There's two different levels of thought process. So with that being said, if the same way they can come back and get somebody 10, 20 years later for a crime that was committed as part of a joint venture, why can't we go back 10, 20 years and go after the same people who wrongfully convicted our people? Go ahead, sir.
That's what happens in the yard. So I'm just gonna sit back and let them talk. I got another segment coming up. Go ahead, sir.
You asked what we could do, right? Yes, or steps. I think another step along with the steps that was mentioned is that as a community, the district attorney is an elected official.
Yes.
He should be here tonight. He should be here tonight, man. Because this is the pain and the suffering of our community. This is the way that our community is policed. This is the way our community is investigated. Okay? So that's the lead prosecutor on the city level for the Suffolk County, right? Brother should be here.
Absolutely.
Because he should want to know how his community, how our community is being policed. He should want to know what has happened in the past in this community. Because if there's wrongful convictions still on my watch, I need to correct them. See, what happened in my case was what happened in these cases is that the can kept being kicked down the road. What happened, it took him 34 years, it took him 34 years to get an apology because the can was being kicked down the road. Until someone that looked like him or close to him got in office and was able to see and mean harm done and apologize for someone else's wrongdoing, right? We cannot let the can be kicked down the road. So they came into our community and grabbed us by the droves and put us into prison. That's where we get the terminology mass incarceration. What about mass exoneration? What about mass release? The same way that the court system took a look at Amy Dugan, we're saying we need to take that same look at these corrupt police that's been policing our community and bring our people home.
And to second what he's saying,
I'm gonna specifically say Daniel Keeler because he got my boy Odir Fernandez and so many other people locked up But the thing is, the reason why they know not, you remember they used to call him Mr. Homicide when he solved all his homicides. But y'all got to remember, like he said, if they opened up every case that he had, that'd be a mass release. He got people that are judges. He made judges. He made judges that was prosecutors. You know what I'm saying? And what I believe that it starts, honestly, with changing it. Some of y'all that get them jury duty slips, go to jury duty.
Let's go. Let's go. I love that. I love that. So, hold on real quick, brother. So actually, why don't we just actually start that? Why don't we start the Q&A section? Come on up. We'll give you a mic, bro.
What we're going to do, if you have questions, come up to the mic, this one over here, and we'll go back and forth. Right there. Come up to the mic and you can ask the question.
All right. Please, first I want to thank all of you for even having the courage to come up here. I'm not only living for myself today. You brothers spoke about some brothers, man. August Evans, man. Boogie. Taught me how to read. Jermaine Celesta encouraged me to teach me how to read and write when I was behind that wall. But when I came from behind that wall, it was like I knew one day my mother gave me a black eye, and I went inside the closet. I was like 9 years old. And from that closet, when I came out of prison as a grown-ass man, it was like I was a grown kid, man. I didn't know nothing. So to see you sit here and cry today, Joey, because you smiled so much.
I hide the pain behind that smile.
You know, you smiled so much, man. And I couldn't believe it. I never knew you felt like that. I never knew what was going on through your mind. I never knew Boogie was doing a natural life because he smiled so much. I never thought I would get the chance to even meet you, Sean, when you made a gateway for us to be able to study our lessons. I never thought that I would meet a Matt Hudson who I grew up. I was intimidated by Matt. But the man that I met as an adult, I fell in love with his mind. Because I was an emotional wreck. So my question to you is, what led a Joey Bennett in the path to allow us black men today to feel comfortable about talking about mental health?
Before Joey answers, we just wanted to, and this is no slight to this brother, just for the sake of time, and we do have another panel to give the family priority. So when you come, say a little bit, but get, with all due, get right to the question. Brother Joseph.
2016, shout out to Patricia Murphy. She used to work at Susan Baranowski. To be honest, like, I couldn't go talk to none of my friends about what I was really feeling. Like, I was scared to death. I was at my third appeal. I was waiting for my decision. The judge was stalling me out. I knew if I didn't get this appeal that I was going to spend the rest of my life in jail, because after like 3 or 4 of them, they say it's watered down. They don't even want to look at your case no more. So I was just like, let me go talk to somebody that don't know me, that ain't going to judge me, that ain't going to go call their cousin and tell them this motherfucker is out here bugging. So when I talked to the lady, she just, it felt good. It felt comfortable to express a lot of things that was on my shoulders, you know, because, you know, the weight of the world's on my shoulders. Like, I was dealing with that, you know what I'm saying? There was things that I had regretted, you know, going to the club, not speaking in my own defense at trial. Like, I didn't know if I was going to get another chance to come back out here, you know? So when I talked to her, she just told me what it felt like to be able to talk to people that didn't know you and that have no judgment for you. I felt good, so that's what brought me into mental health.
I love it, love it, love it. Yeah,
No, you might have to turn it on for me.
We're going to help you out.
All right. I appreciate you, brothers, which all y'all know, y'all my brothers. My name is Sekou. For those that don't know me, that's us.
That's right. That's right.
My next question is to all you brothers: what are we going to be able to do to bring a better understanding as the atrocities that is committed on all of us, and a few of us are sitting in these seats right now? What is the best option that we have right now to put on the table?
Legal. That's the lawyer right there.
I know. Whatever. Y'all taught me the books. Y'all taught me the books.
That's the policy guy.
Y'all taught me the books, so I know.
You know that.
I think if we had to go with the best option, like any ingredient, there's several ingredients that have to be put together to make something happen. So there's no one option that we could put on the table that says, listen, it's this or nothing. We have to add to it. We have to add water. We have to add flour. We have to add these ingredients to make up something that will force these people, elected officials, to say, you know what, this is not going to happen again. So what I would propose would be to put together a panel of individuals that would police the police. First and foremost, because with a panel like that, policing the police, they already have a group of name of individuals. We're going back into your records now. We're going to look at all the cases you sat on. We're going to look at the prosecutors. We're going to look at the assistant officers who sit at the desk that they always do when we go to trial. Yeah, Your Honor, we want this officer to sit here. That's a means of intimidation. You see this cop sitting here, it's scare tactics. So we need a panel of individuals who are picked from the community, not the regular individuals, the ones that work with them. See, he ain't going to do nothing. Hey, Bob, don't worry about it. No. We want constituents from the community, the same way they pick a jury under 234 when they say you have a right to a fair cross-section of the community. Literally, they cross on the map for Suffolk County and they draw names and they pull them all in and they bring them to the grand jury and let them sit on that. That's the same type of panel we should have policing these same individuals.
I love it. Let's go. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think that we're really in a precious moment right now. So the more of us that are becoming aware, we have to really elevate our voice collectively and start using our votes to really speak for us if we cannot get folks to come into the room with us, right? And really kind of like, mandate. Look, we want you here. We want this rectified, and we want a timeline for a result. And if we don't get that, then we need to move them out the way.
Get them out.
And get somebody in there.
Love it. So I want to be cognizant of time. I don't even know if I said that shit right. But anyways, I'm going to try to sound smart. I'm trying to be mindful of the time. Right? So we're going to end the questions with y'all four.
Let them go ahead.
Yeah, y'all four. That's what I'm saying. We're going to end the questions with y'all four. And mind you, there will be more opportunities to speak because we obviously have the family here to speak as well and Dr. Rufus. But go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Whoever.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Dominga Martin, but everyone from home calls me Tony, T-Rock, Tony Rock, whoever is here from OP. I remember, too, when I was younger, always being someone very pleasant. Never connected the dots that he was a Bennett family, because when you're 13, 14 years old or so, who's reading the paper, right? I left Boston when I was 17 because of the trauma. Listening to the stories of my mother, how my grandmother's home was torn down on Wall Street. The best thing ever. So that by the time it got to me in this, with murder in Boston, I left. Coming back, this is the longest time I've ever been home as an adult, and I'm seeing with fresh eyes the containment, the fear, we're not expressing our authentic voices any longer. So when I came in, I was asked, why are you acting up on social media? I'm not acting up. I'm expressing myself of the apology that came 34 years late from a mayor who was 4 years old, when it should have been BPD, when it should have been Mayor Flynn and the mayors before, even Walsh. Now, from my perspective, I'm asking Boston and everyone in this room if we know that the ball is in our court, or are we going to continue staying contained? Right? Because for the first time, I'm hopeful in all of you, Sean, in watching Trial 4, to in your family and watching Murder in Boston, that we can finally push the needle forward. And no one can tell us to be quiet in our anger, in our trauma. So where do we go from here? We're moving the needle forward, and do we know that the ball is in our court, and are we running with it?
Thank God. Is that like a rhetorical question? However you want to take. Anyone want to chime in into regards? Thank you for sharing too. What I'll say is this, right? And it's a little deviation, but Tommy Rosa, right? His picture's over there. He's about to experience a 4th trial. Shit. A 4th trial. She says trial 4, right? Oh, dear. There's witness issues in this case. Full quorum. There's a bunch of issues in this case. Steve Pena, there's a bunch of issues in this case. We gotta bring these brothers home. We gotta realize the ball is in our court.
So one of the things, right? Y'all see, I got on Never Not Working, right? For me, right, Never Not Working is about being an understanding that wrongful conviction is real. It exists. See, and if you don't think it's real, then you won't stand up and fight for it. So my job in coming home was to come home and fight for these brothers, show up for these brothers, let it be known that these brothers are in prison wrongfully. This brother Fuquan, man, has changed the lives of many brothers inside that wall and turned them from savages to real men, man.
I love it.
Right? So I am adamant about telling people wrongful conviction is real. It's an epidemic. But because it doesn't happen to white folk at the rate it happens to black folk, it's not an epidemic. See, they said opioids are an epidemic. Heroin been in my community for as long as I can remember. As soon as it went out to the suburbs, they changed the name from heroin to opioid, and that said it's an epidemic, and it deals with mental health. Wrongful conviction, police misconduct, prosecutorial misconduct is an epidemic that needs to be addressed. And you have to recognize it first and foremost. I had to get that off my chest, y'all.
No, go ahead.
I got 2 questions, and maybe I can touch on this. Hearing your story, it might not have played out this way, but seeing that 90% of people incarcerated in state never went to trial, 93% of federal never went to trial. Did any of you guys get forced to plead into your time or anything like that? Because it's a fallacy that people that are in prison have this right to trial with 90% incarcerated don't. The second part is, did any of you feel after your experience that the system that we operating in is just draconian, that it's just outdated, that the judges should be wearing white wigs with the black robes, that throwing metal on someone's wrist is outdated, that by the 13th Amendment saying that you will be enslaved once you're incarcerated? Is there something more that we can be doing to dismantle this criminal injustice system instead of working within it? And you know, it's systemic, it's epidemic, it's institutionalized, so, and it's a machine. So can we throw our bodies on the machine, stop the gears? Is there something we can do? Because if you think about it, if we all ask ourselves, what would we do in Africa when our brothers was getting necks torn on them and shackled, but we let our brothers get shackled, imprisoned, and their freedom taken away every day? So as a community, we should be protecting each other.
So thank you for the question, my man. Thank you for the question. So you actually, it was a 2-part question. A real good one, and I think Matt touched on the second portion of your question. The first one you asked, did us
men were we forced to coerced or, for lack of a better word, into taking a plea, accepting the 25 years, the 30 years, the 10 years, the 22 years. No. Everybody took it to trial, and we all lost. And one of the things that the Supreme Court has recently said is that our system is a system of pleas, not trials. They said the system will buckle if everybody took it to trial, if everybody challenged the evidence, if everybody had the right, as they do, to confront your accusers, the right to cross-examine witnesses, the right to have a jury trial, the right to have an attorney. So if we invoke those rights, and those rights are rights that we have, we don't have to buy them from nobody. We don't have to get them from nobody. They're already in the Massachusetts Constitution. They're already in the United States Supreme Court constitutions. And when you look at that, you have to say to yourself, if the court system is designed on pleas, and 98% of the convictions are pleas, the system will buckle. And when it buckles, everybody's now looking for a way out. We need a job. They said nobody's going to go to trial. I'm on trial. I got a trial coming up next year because I'm representing myself, and they're not prepared to take me to trial right now.
And y'all see why I had him as my paralegal.
And I say that not to disparage the attorney I had. I had Earl Howard. I had one of the best Black African-American representatives for the community. But I told him today, you can't do what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is hold these people accountable. And he said in his email to me, I know, for me it's just a business. For you, it's your life. So I appreciate the question. And like I said, I think Matt touched on the second portion of it.
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot to say and a little time to say it. To tell the truth, we're talking about a much longer strategy, a much longer thing that's been happening. I mean, Joey's case elevated the conversation, but we've been holding symposiums in and around the city of Boston talking about what happened to Joey and others for some time. Really trying to educate our people about what we can do in this moment, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's not lost on many of us. It's just about how do we execute the will, right? How do we really come together, like my sister said over here? And I think that when I look at all the way that we find ourselves divided among ourselves over trivial stuff, right? And it really hurts my heart. I'm gonna be honest, because when we are out here divided in the many ways that we are, I know that the end result is that our people are dying behind the wall in many different ways, whether it's that through racism, the racist policies that they're surviving day in and day out, or the unlawful convictions, or the disparity of sentencing. When you talk about the plea deal, people are forced and coerced into those plea deals because to take it to trial means that you might wind up with a life bid. And so some folks is playing for the sure thing. The sure thing is I may get out 3 or 4 or 5 years later if I can survive the conditions of the prison.
Yeah, my name is Sean Green. I'm a therapist in the community. I do a lot of work in terms of community organizing. I ran a program called Strive. We did a lot of work with people coming home. Now, what I found myself is I'm seeing something on the outside right now. When you talk about dismantling some of the concepts and the behaviors that many of you have learned to dismantle within yourself, that parents right now can't dismantle with their own child. So if I'm looking to say, how do we make this thing here full circle where the seats that you're moving from, that they're not being replaced by these young generations that's coming in now, because we see the seats are being filled. There's people who are wrongfully convicted that are young right now, and how do I now make this here transparent, what you're doing right now, where politics is a conversation in the Boys and Girls Club, like it is playing basketball. like going to prison is a conversation on the Pop Warner field, like it is scoring a touchdown. So now we're not missing them, but right now we've missed so many. How can we use this platform that you have right here to make sure we begin, like you said, Steve, talk to me like I'm 4 years old. How can we start to talk to parents like they're 4 years old to dismantle that little child they're dealing with to make sure they don't take the seat that you guys just left from?
I would say that we have to move as a community. For one, this brother's case is still going on. It should be calls in to the DA's office asking why. After so many witnesses in this case have recanted. Why is this brother why is this brother's life still on the, why is he still facing life? And so many people have recanted in this case. This brother's life is on the line. But the community should be asking, not just his family. Not just his family. The community, because you're hearing how the community was policed. So now, you say, how does it trickle into the home, right? You see the people that were taken from the home. So you want to support the home, you got to support us. Because the harm that was done to us, you said it yourself. Don't be fooled. The DLC didn't give us a whole lot of fresh programs that allowed us to build within ourselves and address our issues. They're part of our mental health issue. Let's be clear about that. Facts. We're the solution. You got to support us so that we can do what we got to do in our community. You can't get us the clock rules and say, yeah, talk to your kids and tell you. No, that ain't going to happen. We're not going to turn our little black and brown boys over to you. That's not going to happen. Let us, as black and brown men and women, do what we got to do with our community. All we have to use for the support and the resources. And that's why we got our rep here, right? Because when she speaks on behalf of our community. Our senator, pardon me, I apologize. Our senator, but she speaks on behalf of our community. Peace. Peace.
I just want to say something quickly, and I'm sorry I have to leave pretty. I know a lot of people in the room, but I just want to say about the youth work. I did see Brother Frank is in the audience. I'm sorry if you didn't want to put out, but there's an initiative right now going on with the city of Boston about Reach 1000. And what we don't realize is I was in youth work a long time. There's a direct correlation with system-involved young people entering these systems of mass incarceration or death. If you look at every young man or even young women or everyone in the trans community, if you look at them, a lot of them have been system involved because their families, we don't know what happened in the household, but it's super important that we support these initiatives because everyone can be a mentor. Young people we're losing young people not because there aren't people who care about them and that these men don't have something to say. We're losing them because we're not investing in our youth nonprofits. We're not investing in school-based programs because we spend $1 billion in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for what we call public safety. We spend less than $50 million on what we call gun violence prevention or youth development. So see the pendulum, $50 million less, over $1 billion in the state police and DOC. And the DOC is actually decreasing. I just want to leave you guys with this fact. When I was younger, there was well over 12,000 people incarcerated in the Commonwealth. There are less than 6,000 people currently in the Mass DOC, and the prisons are closing. And they keep telling us that we need more correctional officers, we need to build a new women's prison. That is not true. So follow some of the work that we're doing, because if everyone got to come home on parole, which they probably will, we probably have less than 2,500 people in our Mass DOC, and we'd go down from the 14 facilities that we have to probably 2 because there are not enough people to keep incarcerated.
I wanted to just say real quick, there are some entities out here that does benefit young Black boys. And my brother Frank over here runs a program, Black Male Advancement, for the mayor's office. That is definitely an outlet that's supportive of young black males, no matter where they're at. You have the Nation of Islam, who goes out into the community every week to soldier to make sure that they stop the violence and talk to young and black youth. So there is many movements that are happening out there, right, that we should acknowledge that it does exist. I think that my problem really is that how do we bring all that together, right? So that everyone is aware. And to what my brother said is true, because the fact is that you're talking to our kids. My son was born when I was in Charles Street Jail. Today he's a grown man. I've been in jail all of his life. He's 34. I've been in prison 33 years. So how do I have and maintain a relationship with him at this point when he's a grown-ass man? And many of us find ourselves in that same situation, dealing with that, right? Not because of something we did. And I'm gonna say for me, I want to acknowledge that I made the life choice to be in the street, even though I was wrongly convicted. But it was because of that decision that he probably got me falsely identified in the first place. So I'll accept responsibility for that, right? But the fact of the matter is it doesn't allow them to still do what they did to rob me, right, of the accountability to be there for my family. And as a result, how many of broken homes that we don't have that's still today? So I just want to center that, right, to say that what my brother is saying is real. We're part of the solution, but also that there's other things happening in our community that we really need to be aware of and support. Yep. With that, I got to go.
Hold on. We about to wrap up anyway. Just give me a second. I know. All right. You said you had a question.
Peace. Good evening, y'all. So I just have a question for Rep Miranda because I talk to all you brothers all the time. Senator Miranda. Pardon me.
It's my IG. I know reckless. That's right. It's all good. So titles don't make me.
I know that. So this is my question. My question is this: can you address the unequal application of the joint venture theory that is still in courts today, especially when you consider that in this movie, the McLean friend who knew about the homicide before it even happened, and the Stewart brother who knew about the homicide after and threw away the weapon, were neither charged with joint venture. I'm not saying I want people to go to prison, but what I am saying is clearly unequally applied because almost every man that's in jail for joint venture is black or brown. So can you address that theory, which is a theory? It's not on the legal books. So how do we deal with a theory? How do we advocate for a theory to be changed? It's not a law, it's a theory. I just have to keep reiterating that because it's not a law.
So since we don't have a lot of time, I'm just going to go quickly, and then I'd like to talk offline. So in Massachusetts, about 8,000 to 9,000 bills are filed each year. What we've been lucky with is that the AACC, which is a group of men behind bars, they've actually filed a bunch of bills with elected officials, including myself. I know Rep. Erica's here, Representative Holmes. And one of the things that they have filed is an ability to really change this theory of law in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Essentially, it says that if you were part of the crime, even if you weren't the person in charge of loss of life, that you could be sentenced for the same amount of time. And what this gentleman is talking about is a young man like O'Dare from my community is actually in jail for something that almost every other person in the case has actually been released. But he took it to trial and he got life without parole. And so therefore he is serving all of his 20s and 30s, and now he's in his 40s behind bars because of joint venture law. And if you actually look at the number of people serving life without parole, there are 1,037 people in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Out of that, less than 6,000 people, so 1 in 6 people are serving life without parole. If you look at the black people serving life without parole, almost a majority of them them are involved in a joint venture, which means that if you took it to trial, which probably caused the prosecutor to be more aggressive in your case, and how dare you not take a plea deal, he's the only one in this case of 6 people that is still incarcerated. So that's what we can do. We can learn about the laws that our elected officials are filing. You can help them write and amend those laws so that they're appropriate. And then when there's a case of an individual that we want to bring attention to, just reach out to one of us. If I'm not your senator or representative, I'll connect you. But these 4 men, Fuquan, O'Dare, and the rest of the men up here, their cases with a lot of public pressure and public will could be overturned, but we're not seeing the groundswell, and we can change that after today.
This is real fast, and this is the guy. Like I said, Daniel Keeler was the lead investigative officer on his case. The worst, right? So O'Dare, the principal, the main suspect, wound up doing 4 to 5 years. He wasn't even the principal, but he got life without parole. The principal got 4 to 5 years. The person they considered to be the prime suspect, he got 4 to 5 years, and O'Dare got life because, like she said, he took it to trial. Crazy.
Let's make this clear, right? Joint venture is not a law. So what? There's an organization called We Are Joint Venture. They are trying to get the legislators to make it a law to do something about the guys that are in prison doing life on a theory or a rule. Now, my understanding is that when a murder happens and you're a part of that joint venture, they don't let you know that you are being charged with joint venture until the day you go to trial. When the DA comes in and says, oh yeah, we're charging you with joint venture. So now you can't even look it up in the law books to try to defend it because you don't know it until you go to trial. So understand that. It's not a law. Nobody should be doing life in prison for theory or rule. So let's push our legislators to make a law dealing with joint venture, and all those guys that are in prison doing life in joint venture. One of the things Rachel did with her integrity review bill was to allow guys to challenge that. If you were there and you knew something about it or whatever, some guys have gotten their cases where they've gotten it knocked down to 8 years. And that's because Rachel was in office and Rachel had that integrity review bill. So, make, guys be held responsible, but they shouldn't be doing life in prison. So let's change, let's make it a law so that we can fix it.
To go back to your joint venture real quick, joint venture, we adopted it from England. That came in from England. We adopted it in England, and we since been using it here in the United States. England no longer uses it because of so many people who have been wrongfully incarcerated under the joint venture theory, which is no longer, it's been abrogated from the books and everything in the law in England. So we need to, if we can get it from them, then we should take a page out of their book because they since stopped using it as well.
Man, this is good. Can we clap it up for everyone on stage, please? Please clap it up, clap it up.
Bennett.
Bennetts, Bennett Nelsons. First thing I want to say is rest in peace to my grandma, Addie Nelson. She passed away a year today, actually. Rest in peace, Pauline Bennett, other grandma. My mom, Faye Nelson. And yeah, man, it's really about my father right now, Willie Bennett. And, you know, everybody else involved, everybody else who's been traumatized. And yeah, I want to first thank everybody who blessed the stage before us, everybody who gave hundreds of years to the system, falsely accused. I felt that pain. I really understand what that feels like to have your role models taken from the home, people who are supposed to be your guidance, and, you know, seeing your mom struggle to hold somebody down in the process. You know, my mom struggled. She held Willie down for 12 years while he was incarcerated, from Shirley to Concord to Walpole. She did that. She showed me what loyalty was, you know what I mean? So I actually witnessed that firsthand. And, you know, right now I'm just, like I said before yesterday, we're not okay, you know what I mean? I'm not okay that my cousin's still fighting for his freedom. I'm not okay about that. We're not okay about that. Not okay that the system failed us. That's what I'm not okay about. The system failing my family. So that's how I feel personally right now. And, you know, other people can talk or other questions you guys got, but I appreciate that, bro. So I again, can we give this family a round of applause again? Because this is tough. Not only are they being vulnerable in front of this crowd, they've been vulnerable to a million people watching this series and documentary. They think they put their family story out there even more. So I commend you all for doing that. And I think the first question that I had, what was it even like to actually watch this? How many of you, I know many of you were children at the time or so much younger. A, did you know each other's experience those days? And B, what was it like to actually watch it, relive it, and go through it?
Oldest on the stage. I'm the oldest on the stage. My name is Diane Bennett. I'm Willie's sister. I watched it with him one night, and he heard a white man. I ain't going to be negative about anything. And he said, listen to the words that's coming out of his mouth. The guy said, whoever did it needs to sit in that chair and poof, be gone. And he heard that. And I said, he's talking about you, Willie. The next words for the next segment was, we're looking for Willie Bennett. And we were eating lunch and he choked on his sandwich. And I just want to say, I love my family. Thank you. A blessing in the sky. Thank you.
I'm Michael Nelson, and I can tell you, Willie was arrested at my mother's house. And when they ran up, they had guns on all of us. One of the things, I didn't watch the series in its entirety. I watched it in sections. Monday night, while watching it, it hit a little too close to home. It brought up too many old feelings, anger. So I didn't even finish watching the last episode because I didn't have to watch it. We've lived it. They came to Burlington, Massachusetts, and put guns. My nephew, 7 years old at the time, my little brother, 15. They didn't care. They were hoping that there was some kind of resistance because they were prepared to start shooting. And they didn't care who was in the house. You know what I mean? So when we talk about the profound effect that it's had, we're fast forwarding to today, and like 34 years later, it's still not right, like my nephew said. Anyone else?
I actually learned some things watching it. I don't know how to say it, but I definitely learned some things watching it, and it wasn't watching it. Cause I watched the episode with my dad. He wasn't jacking it, but he still watched it. Like she said, mom said certain things he was saying, certain things that they were saying in there, he wasn't wasn't reacting to. I don't know. Definitely different.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Star.
I'm Charlie Star Bennett. I go by Star, my middle name. I was 6 years old the night they came into our house. I remember that night like it was yesterday. Sharita mentioned in the film how they came into the house. She was awake. I wasn't awake. I was in my house with my mom, my sister. Forceful? Not even a word. 3 gunmen in my room. Shields, machine guns, shotguns. One officer with a rifle to my head told me to get out the bed. 6 years old, and I remember that night like it was yesterday. I didn't get the opportunity to talk on the documentary. Neither did my sister, who's not here tonight, Stacy B. Shout out. Ooh. That night, they told me to get out the bed and follow them. I'm in the house. I know where I'm going. Where am I following you to? Where's my mother? They sat us around at the kitchen table. We're just crying and not saying anything. They're just rumbling through the house, throwing everything around. Police officers trying to plant stuff in the living room to say it's drugs, substance, jewelry, Carol's ring. And my mom is just asking, why are you doing this? Why are you guys here? They never told us why. There was no warrant. There was no conversation to us. They'd never told us to calm down. They're just holding the guns to us. Now, all of that didn't make the documentary, but I'm here to tell y'all tonight. Sharita, when you spoke and you said how they came in, you was awake. I remember that night. We all didn't have the conversation. We're starting to have it now. They came into our apartments, our homes at the same time.
Y'all didn't know that. They
did
raided the house at the same time. All our houses. Not just one, 4 different houses at the same exact time.
Even people in Boston who had the last name Bennett Nelson, they went into their homes as well. So to say that we're angry, we're bitter, we're upset, an apology 34 years later, we'll accept it. You made that statement yesterday. We'll accept the apology. But it doesn't fix anything. I have one more thing to say, because my uncle's not here tonight. He don't want to be. He don't want to be here. He don't want to talk to anybody because all he's going to get is an apology. We'll accept it, though. We'll accept it.
You said all you're gonna get is an apology. Is that what you guys believe? That's it?
We have to fight.
Yeah.
We have to fight and ask for more.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's what it's doing.
This nigga is stronger as a unit. That's what it's making at this point. So you see 300, right? Yeah. So we might find 300 more family members and start, you know what I'm saying, making more noise. That's what it takes.
Honestly, like I would like to just say that, yeah, we never had this conversation as a family. Never. This is the first time we talked about this as a family. So this is not something that we prepared for or anything. That's why we say y'all can ask us whatever, because each house had a different experience. Me and Sharita lived together.
Right. I was in the house where they found Willie at. I was in the bed.
So I am the nephew. Y'all seen my room on the documentary. Y'all seen it. What y'all didn't see is that I was dragged out the house in my boxer shorts and took to jail and sat down. And you listen to number 4, they was doing the same thing to Derek that they was doing to me, but because I was raised by a gangster, I wasn't scared of the police. They wasn't going to get me to say what they wanted me to say, what they wanted me to say that they wanted to hear. It wasn't going like that. That's why there's no audio of me in no interrogation room. Because they did the same thing. They did the same thing, but I already been popped by my uncle, so that ain't bother me. They threatened to send me to jail. Like I said, I was already going back and forth to DYS, so that wasn't gonna do it. Like everything that happened, it happened for a reason. And now we're a stronger unit, you know. Everybody has their problems and families, but, you know, I wanted to make sure that everybody was up here that didn't get a chance to speak and say everything that was said in that documentary because of the editing purposes.
Thank you for that too. But I don't want to overlook the point where we recognize that an apology is not enough. But you also recognize this is the first time that as a family you guys are actually speaking. Have you even begin to have the conversation like, okay, what is it that we actually want? What does reparations look like for our family, for our neighborhood? Like, what does that look like? Have we started having those conversations about what you would like to see, what you want to happen? Who else needs to get on their knees and apologize?
Like you said, 34 years of pain.
Yeah.
Like, put that into numbers. You can't put that into a number.
I mean, the numbers ain't gonna add up, bro. That was 34 years for the Stewart case. What about 34 years for Commonwealth versus Joseph Bennett in the last 22 years they took? They gonna have to apologize again when they say, yo, we dismissing this case against you right now that I'm walking around on bail for. I'm gonna get another apology, y'all. And then cut the check, I guess, as everybody want to keep saying.
Besides the check, the question I just feel is like, has anybody taken time, because this is traumatic, though. Like, I'm watching it crying. You guys are reliving it crying. Like, what have anybody done anything to begin to even deal with that trauma? Heal from that? Like, Scar, you said you were 6 years old?
That's good.
Since?
I cried at night.
That's it.
I have not cried. I haven't cried. My mom, who's not here tonight, Paula, mommy, shout you out too. She cried because she's happy that her brother got the apology. But I haven't cried. No. Because I watched my mother be a strong woman. She hasn't broke down in front of me either.
Anyone else? So you got the mic.
Hey everyone, my name is Sharita.
Take your time. Take your time. Got it.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And I love y'all so much.
Love you.
Since this documentary, there's a lot of stuff that I did not know. When they hit everybody's house and everybody's experiences, I didn't know. And it's crazy how it took us this long to talk about it. It's crazy. Because I don't know if we just didn't want to relive those moments. I know I didn't. I couldn't talk about it at all. And then looking at the pain and the looks at my uncle's face and his eyes, and just can imagine how and what he was going through or how he felt. And then hearing the words from him, he said he first was locked up because of this, and how he first got there and he was spit on, called a baby killer. It hurt. It really, it hurt. Like I said, I commend my family. Like you said, It's a 34 long years. Too long, way too long. I just want to commend my family, man. I love y'all so much. Love you. You did bring a lot of us together and brought everyone together. Literally. It brought everyone closer. And I just want to thank everyone who watched that documentary, and now everyone knows the truth. The truth is out there.
Yes.
I just want to thank everyone, man, from the bottom of my heart, man.
Can you give me the significance of the Adidas suits for folks who might not know?
Say that again?
Can you give me the significance of the Adidas suits for the folks who might not know?
They fit the description, that's right.
We fit the fucking description. We fit the description. A tracksuit. I've got red lines, but it got lines, so.
This is his daughter.
So for those who didn't hear, the description of the assailant was a black male in an Adidas sweatsuit with red stripes. And anybody who grew up in Roxbury in the 80s and 90s, an Adidas tracksuit in Roxbury at the time was like a B-fitted today or some white Air Force Ones. Everybody in the neighborhood, in every neighborhood had one of those things. So pretty much what that was an all call to any black male between 4 feet and 7 feet, between the ages of 7 and 70. You under attack and you were suspect. So I love the fact that you guys, again, this is about narrative shaking, narrative shifting, man. At the end of the day, everybody look like a suspect and we all look the same. You know what I'm saying? They view us all as suspects. Exactly. I heard the brother Kurt talking about scholars. Yeah, okay, I got a scholar, but at the end of the day, I grew up in Roxbury for real, and I know at the end of the day, if I got to be the sworn at the time, I'm gonna get searched too. So again, you guys are flipping the narrative. It's about not only about family, you guys are showing perseverance. You're showing vulnerability, which oftentimes, we from the hood, we don't show vulnerability at all because we can get exposed by that. But you guys are setting a trend. You guys are showing that families can come together after trauma. So again, we appreciate y'all for that. So I want to open this up for some questions, man.
Hey, Ru, I think I might have cried more this documentary in today than I cried in 22 years.
That's the bro. because how many people from your neighborhood have a vision of you like you don't cry, like you Superman? But you hurt too, cuz. We all do that. I don't know what. Oh, my man got the country music ringtone. That was crazy. That was crazy. No. You guys said you want to have a dialogue, right? You said you want people to ask you guys.
That's whatever they want.
So who want to ask the questions? Come and ask a question, bro.
Yes, I am. Yes, sir. I know how I feel about Joey making this happen, man, after hearing so many years about it and, knowing him. I want to ask the family, how do y'all feel, man, about Joey, man, about, as y'all know, too, keeping this promise and making this happen?
I can speak to that. I can speak to that.
Well, I gotta say, out of his 22 years, 19 of them, I was his secretary. Phone calls, three-way calls, taking notes down.
On dogs, on everything. If anybody know, this is Star. Anybody that used to have to pay me a booker stands for the three-way, this is Star. so that's a fact. I'm close to all my family, but I definitely had to call Star every day.
Every day. And I made the call.
Yes. And my daughter's up there and Cora's up there and they was there doing the same exact thing. So we could
hear what his goals were, what his intentions were to get it out.
They knew that. I tell people,
And
I'm living my dream.
And he did it. He started.
I'm living my dream. Some people still chasing their dream. I'm living mine. Now I'm chasing my goals and aspirations. That's it.
This brother got a question here, man.
Thank you, Steve.
That's dope. Anyone else want to add something? If not, question. Don't be shy now.
Right here.
Ooh.
I can say this.
Bro.
Go ahead.
I know too through my uncle Dana, and I see that you guys said that you haven't even spoke about this moment in between you guys for 34 years. And I want to ask, what do you guys see yourself emotionally as a family doing to make this better for you guys? So like therapy or going to and speaking to each other. How does that look for you guys? And how is that going to help you guys? Because I think that it's important for us as a community to see how that looks for help, considering the trauma you guys have went through. The fact that like you guys haven't even spoken about that for 34 years it's untimely to think about.
That's a good question, bro.
To answer your question another way, I guess, me personally, like how I found out about it, I was in middle school. Everything as far as the case and concern, I didn't find out from my mom or nothing. I'm visiting them every other weekend, not knowing what my pops is in jail for. My mom, when she didn't put me on to what the situation was about. So personally, I found out when there was, VCR coming in with this TV and it talks about this, Stewart case, and I don't know who that is, but I do know my dad's name, and I heard Willie Bennett, and at that point I got up and I, kind of made a scene in the classroom, and the teacher was like, oh, what's going on, man? This is my dad you're talking about. She's like, you have a different last name, that's not your dad. I'm like, the person you ask me every weekend about how my visits are going, that's who this person is. She said, oh, I'm so sorry. So at that point, I had to go home and, ask my mom, like, my dad's in jail for murder? For something he didn't do? She goes, yeah, it's a long story. So to me, I got traumatized just to find out what he's even there from not him or my mom or anybody. So, in a sense, it makes you feel like there's other people who've been benefiting and creating stories, creating their own narrative on a story that clearly wasn't completely told the right way. So, me personally, I feel like my cousin bringing things to light and telling it from the family's perspective was eye opener, and it was necessary. You know what I mean?
To answer, it was therapeutic for me because, like I said in the documentary, I carried this. It ate at me, so this was therapy for me. I enjoyed it. Every last minute of it.
Facts, and how corrupt the cops is, that's what really woke me up.
And what people don't realize, a lot of the criminal justice classes do this case. Now they gotta change that narrative.
It was a completely different story when I got fed. There's a book and everything.
Hold on. No, I need her to speak because I need for y'all to realize one of Willie's daughters and what she did and what she has to do because of this case and because of what's going on.
Yeah. Talk about it. Tell them what you accomplished over this.
My name is Aisha. I'm one of his daughters. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice.
Let them hear it. They didn't even hear that. Say it loud.
I had a bachelor's in, I don't really know. I got a bachelor's degree from Salem State. Criminal justice. That's all they brought up in all my criminal classes or in my cases. Period. A lot of my classes and my professors, they even offer to give me an A. And I was like, but I talked to them in private on some of the stances in my family's perspective. It was kind of, I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I walked into class. It was I think I ran into one of the cops that was on patrol.
Which is Trent Holland.
went there and they were telling the story, and I got really emotional and walked out because I didn't know what was going. I didn't expect that. Yeah. But I do want to let you guys know that my dad was viewed as a baby killer. My mom was pregnant at the same time Kara was with her, Ebony. She was 34. I'm 34 right now. My mom was 33 when she had me, but she's 33 right now. And he was labeled as a woman killer and a baby killer. And the whole time, my mom's carrying this baby. She's scared. That's something that a lot of you guys don't know. And it sticks with me with that part because we're the same age that this all happened. And they were looking for a 30-year-old, but my dad was not nearly 30. He was actually in his 40s, or actually 40. And you missed a lot in those years.
And I want to just say, we definitely, I know we talking about us and our family, but we want to, acknowledge Carol DeMady's family for their loss also. We have class, you know what I'm saying? They lost their daughter.
He didn't deserve it.
Child, and we want to acknowledge that, condolences to the DeMady family. They had nothing to do with the man that did this, the monster. The monster. Monsters for sure.
Yeah. So I have a question for the family. My name is Cindy and I grew up in Mission Hill with the racist kids on the top of the hill. So this is, to me, why it was possible for that story to be believed. And I just want to know, because I know that for myself, I moved out of Mission Hill for about 12 years. Was there an impact that you had that impacted you staying in the neighborhood?
Sorry. Can you just repeat?
Just repeat it, Cindy.
Were you all impacted in staying in the neighborhood? Because I know for me, I had moved out to my first apartment and was on Huntington Avenue listening to the police every single night. Was there an impact on you all staying in the neighborhood because of this case?
So all the males in our family were always being arrested, being accused of something. My family stayed there. My mom and aunts are still there. We're not leaving. We're not leaving. We're still in Mission Hill.
Me too. I'm back.
However, in school, throughout work, we on live TV. A lot of people at my job don't even know who I am. They probably know now. They know now. But I want to target back to that gentleman's question who asked about therapy and what are we doing. I want to piggyback onto that.
That was my next question because I'm working with Joe with Yard Time with the mental health and hosting the retreat rooms. What are the rest of you all doing for your mental health?
We have been therapy to each other, for each other.
Exactly.
Like we said, this made us stronger, closer. We tell jokes. We talk about the case. We have Zoom meetings. We're on Zoom.
We just started Zoom.
Yes, we be on Zoom. It made us closer. I think we all been each other's therapy. So if we all can make the Zoom, we talk about it in the group chat. And we got 98 notifications right now for the 3 people who's not here tonight. LaJuan, Stacy. That's what I wanted to say.
So to answer your question and the gentleman's question, for me going through my own personal issues, it literally took, for this documentary, for me to seek and talk, sit down and talk to a therapist. This documentary brought out so much that I didn't know about myself. So I said it took probably way over 34 years for me to seek help and talk to somebody because of this documentary.
it was so, that was very triggering. Because of this documentary, I haven't been able to sleep. So I decided I had to get up and I had to do something about it. So thanks, as I said, I commend my family and I thank Jason here for coming to us and reaching out to us, because if it wasn't for him and for this documentary, I probably wouldn't seek the help that I knew I needed because of this documentary. Because it brought back so much memories and a lot. So I want to thank him for doing that and for me seeking the help that I knew I needed, the therapist that I need to talk to.
It's definitely made it a conversation in the family. I'm Chris Nelson. I'm Brenda Faye Nelson's oldest son. Willie's my dad. I was 15 when this went down. I was in 10th grade. So going to school and dealing with the situation the next day and every day being old enough to know what's going on and to kind of be on the inner workings, you asked a kind of pointed question. And my little sisters, they don't really know. And maybe tonight y'all can understand why. Because my little sisters have always asked me why I wear Adidas. Since they've known and can remember, I wear Adidas to my socks, to my drawers. This was Pop's wear. Pops was always wearing Adidas, some kind of nice Adidas sweatsuit or hat or something like that. So I picked it up from him. He's not my biological father. He's raised me. Through bars, he raised me to the best he can. My little sister, he missed her first steps. My little brother said it yesterday. He said he never got to see my little sister's first steps. Either one of them, he wasn't there for that. There were many, many things that he missed. And there's nothing, no amount of money that can pay him back for those things. So the fact that my cousin Joey did this, I mean, me and him were the same age, and I went to look for him one weekend because I used to spend the weekends with him, and they're like, he's gone. I'm like, what do you mean he's gone? One of the main reasons why I used to love to come to Mission Hill was to hang out with him. That was gone. My pops, like I said, there's no amount of money y'all could pay or anyone could give us to give back the lessons and the time that we didn't get, whether it be fishing, the walks in the park, and teaching my little sisters how to ride a bike, and being there to watch them blow out their candles. You know what I'm saying? For different birthdays and things like that. But I'm glad that he finally got some kind of recognition. That he finally got the little bit that y'all can give him to apologize, because that's the smallest y'all could do. There are people throughout this world that know some kind of catchphrase, my name's Bennett, I ain't in it, and all of that. They don't even know why.
That is a catchphrase.
This is why. This is why.
It's in songs too. It's definitely in there.
That was gonna be my follow-up. My question was gonna be like, have you felt like a stigma with the last name? Like, do you feel like this is the start of reclaiming, or did you never even take that on?
I don't know. I apologize to some of the pastors and reverends and people that are in here, but this didn't stop. Like, y'all remember, they accused me of running up in the Morning Star Church and busting somebody in the head and stabbing somebody during the funeral, and was parading me in the newspapers when they locked me up for it, and I was supposed to be the bad and worse and all that, and then they quietly again just let the case dismiss. Not even dismiss, they just no cross. And you know what no cross is, that means if somebody walked there with a situation and he said, I can tell you about the Morning Star case, they can open the case back up. So for 20 years I walked around and nobody knew that I still had that case over my head for something I didn't even do again. For something, that was in 92, 93. I got found guilty for murder I didn't commit in 1998. That didn't stop. Are you kidding me?
Sean, I want to ask the family, the morning after,
when the police left and the house was all in disarray, like, what was the feeling? Like, when you went outside, was the community mad at you? Like, did they look at your family like, you're the reason why this happened to us? Like, and if so, how did you deal with that?
Well, I grew up in the party, ain't nobody looking at us like it was us. Fuck out of here. But anyways, I could say this, like, the aftermath, y'all seen it. You seen it in the documentary. You only seen one room though. That was the part. You only seen one room. Like I said, they hit every house. So every house was looking like that. Every room looked like that. It just so happened you only seen it in my room because my room was the room that they wanted. Like I said, they broke the wall. They found the bullet, so they had to record it just to say we got the bullet. So, but all our houses look like that. All our rooms look like that. It took us weeks to repair our apartments. Months. So that, like, I'm telling you, I tell people, I just admitted to Cindy, like I said, they send us, you know, Sarah is like their therapist for me. Like, y'all always be like, oh, you outside, you running the streets, you outside at every club. Which y'all realize every time the police came to get me, it was between 12 and 3:30 in the goddamn morning. So if I stay out in the streets at 2:30, and I'm hanging out in the streets, so the next time they come kicking the door, I ain't there. I feel good about that. So when I go home at 3:30 in the morning, I go to sleep and wake up and go to work at 6, so I get the fuck out of there. That's real talk. So when y'all see me outside all the time, I'm afraid the police. Like I said, I am on trial waiting. So at any given time, they think that I don't deserve to still be on the street. Somebody, they will come get my monkey ass and sit me down and just say, we made a mistake, my fault. Nah, that's why this right now, we going full force with this. Like I said, Jason gave us 5, we're going to take 15, but after 34 years and minutes, y'all going to fucking keep hearing about this because we going to keep talking about it. Like I said, we dispel it. We changing the narrative that's in colleges right now. The criminal justice course majors that they talk about the student and how the police did their job. They didn't do it correctly now.
Sean, to piggyback off of what Joey just said, when that happened, my mother raised us as Jehovah's Witnesses. After that night, in the way that we felt violated, I was numb to everything. Looked at life from a whole different perspective, like life really didn't matter. Looking like everybody was looking at us. Because unlike being in Mission, we were in Burlington, Mass. We were the only black family out there. There might have been one other black family. So the immediate thought was, they were looking like, yeah, it was only a matter of time before the niggas would do something. As a result, we started, or for me personally, it was, why am I carrying values and trying to do the right thing when they violate us anyway? Because nobody could answer why they put guns in our faces. Nobody could answer why they were screaming, get back in the house, and you hear a nigga sprinkled in or whatever have you. But nobody cared to explain to us what was going on. Something that nobody else up here knows is that night before the police came, Willie's at the house and he's like, Michael, listen, they're going to start saying things about me. He goes, and I just want you to know that it's not true. I didn't know what he was talking about because I was oblivious to everything else going on with what was happening at my relatives' houses. He's like, you're going to hear a lot of stuff about me. He's going to say, they're going to bring up my past and say all that. And that's when they were talking about the crazy shit, where he handcuffed the cop in Mission Hill and then took the squad car and had the lights on riding through the projects. You know what I mean? But again, like my nieces said, that jacket of baby killer, woman killer, to constantly everywhere you look a turn to see somebody and you catch them looking at you and to think that they're like, yeah, that's what you're associated with. That's you know what I mean? And again, I stopped practicing. I stopped believing in anything. I went day to day, because if I'm doing nothing wrong and y'all can do that to me, what am I upholding? What's really going on? That's the residuals of the type of things, just from my perspective, what came down or what came from that.
Yeah, first off, before I get to my question, I just want to say the power on that floor right now is beyond a description. Like, the strength you guys hold together is beyond anything anybody could ever imagine. And I just want to applaud y'all for that. Like, that's something I just want to make sure I get off my chest. And so, two things I want to acknowledge is the bachelor's degree that she like, just so, like, she said she did criminal justice. Like, do you know how much strength that takes to know what she knows? And she did criminal justice still? Like, like, when she said that, I couldn't believe that she said that. And not because she can't do it, it's because of that strength it takes to stay in that room, to stay in them classes, to stay in them months. Like, that's so crazy to me. So I just want to applaud. I want to applaud you for real. Like, that's a lot of strength. And so, my question to you directly is, like, how did you? I want to just, like, if you can, so it's okay. But, like, I want to hear how you was able to do that. Like, I just want to hear it, and also I want to hear from her, because she said that, you know, all her coworkers now know about what happened. And I don't know if you've experienced it yet, but, like, how much of a difference has it been? Because that is also another strength for that. Because now it's like, all right, now y'all gonna please don't start treating me different. Like, there's a lot of thoughts that go through that. So if you can describe that, if you can, it's fine. But that's just something that I feel like is important.
I give a little. It was hard, but it kind of motivated me to actually, like you guys seen in the documentary, there's an interview, and I was part of that interview. I was asking questions. I was very curious. It made me kind of, you know, drive a little more towards his story and trying to figure it out. But criminal justice was very hard when it got brought up a couple times in a couple classes. It was tough.
It's been a quiet 2 days at work. It's been a quiet 2 days. Very quiet.
They ain't messing with you at all over there.
They're not saying
That's slick on the job at all.
Nothing. I just got good morning. That was it.
Mr. Randy?
Yes, peace. Minister Randy Muhammad of Mosque number 11. First, I want to just commend y'all and thank y'all for having the courage and the strength to come forward after such tragedy. We know it's not easy, but y'all did it, and you're doing a service to us and to the community, because I grew up in Boston as well, and my house has been ransacked for different occasions. I've witnessed police brutality, you know, and I know that many of us have experienced that. So to come forward and to speak on it and to share how we were being done and victimized in our community, I commend y'all for that. And thank you, first and foremost.
Thank you. I would like to just acknowledge Reverend Brown over there, man. Like I said yesterday, man, I appreciate your statement 100% wholeheartedly. Thank you so much.
So the question that I wanted to ask, I wanted to thank y'all, but I want to say, for me, I remember when it happened. Right, I was a young man, but I had just come into the Nation of Islam, and I knew that really didn't do it back then, because Minister Don Muhammad, who was my minister, he was out there blasting. Right, we knew before Charles Stewart committed suicide, and Minister Don would come on the radio. We was on WILD. And he was letting everybody know, look, y'all got it wrong, right? And he was blasting the mayor, blasting the police commissioner, and actually you see a clip of him on that. So my question is this:
So me being a young man listening to Minister Don, I already knew, like, yo, they did the brother wrong. It wasn't him, even before Charles Stewart committed suicide. My question is to the families: did you experience other folks in your community that sympathized with you, that understood that y'all was being railroaded? I'm wondering if you got that, right? Even before the suicide and even after the suicide. That's the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is, what are the lessons that we can learn that you would say to the community? What would you say to the community as far as how you either were supported or was not supported, right? Were vindicated or vilified? What lessons can we extract from that we can learn on how we can support other families that go through similar situations, because we know that this stuff happens all the time?
Minister, I got ADD, so you lost me. I told y'all, man, this is me. Ask any question, dude.
I got you. Real quick. Okay, the next day after it happened, I was working at the Museum of Fine Arts. I got fired 10:30 in the morning because people were pointing at me because I was on TV. And my boss came to me, she said, "Dang, we're not going to need you anymore." I still today don't know why.
Whoa.
34 years, I just want to know why. And on top of that, I sit with my brother every day. I take care of him. He's good as far as me and family loving him. And that's how you get around it. You have to love one another.
Yes. To run off that, with all the, pain that we was going through, my mom visiting him. I was in sports growing up, and my pops always told me, he's like, "Yo, listen, this is your way out." I got drafted at 17 to Oakland A's, professional baseball. I came home, I was lost. My pops wasn't really there. I got caught with a gun, I got caught with all kinds of stuff. A lot of stuff wasn't true. There was a lot of connection and stuff. But after that, when he did get out, he was on the same wave with me. He wasn't on his gangster stuff. He was like, "Yo, that's your outlet." So I got drafted again by Toronto Blue Jays. So when I came home from that,
you can clap for that. That's crazy, yo.
True story. But when I came home from that, I actually myself, as a mid-20s, I experienced the same thing. I had weed playing on me, was not mine. Marijuana wasn't legal in Massachusetts at the time. I had to go to court for 2 or 3 years. I could never return back to professional baseball. So a lot of that, dealing with the cops and me chasing my dreams, I had a lot of back and forth with that. You know what I mean? And so I've always had doubt in the cops, in the system, just off the strength of, you believe in them, but are they protecting you, serving you, or what are they doing? So to this day, I'm still confused on law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? So it's
And without getting too winded with it, I think we all have been very fortunate to have strong family roots that have helped us all be strong and independent on our own. I mean, we all lean at points in times on each other, as Diane was pointing out. But there's a crossbreeding family that gives us the ability to stand with our head high regardless of what's been thrown at us or what's came our way.
Thank you. Yes. Hello. My name is Sekou, and I'm doing my best. And I cried, and you cried yesterday morning when I seen it. I said I'm gonna have to go down there. But it's like I cannot grasp the concept of what the fuck happened.
Shit, we can't either.
That's what I wanted to ask you as to. I know you explained it took you 34 for you to face it. Did it take anybody else that long? Or all y'all talking cohesively to at least keep yourselves to the next level?
There go my therapist right there, Sarah.
All right.
That's our therapy crew right there, man. I can call them, man, when I need to talk on-site therapists, man. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, y'all time on some real notes, though. Y'all time we got a partnership with BetterHelp. You know, that's an online mental health therapist organization that supports us, you know, that we use for our groups and stuff for the guys that's in the group that might, you know, because I tell people all the time, I'm not a therapist. I just advocate for mental health, you know, and that's why I chose to make a group, because I figure a lot of us that are coming home from prison, we focus on groups. You know what I'm saying? We build in groups. So every time there's a group, you got to go to a group. You got to go to a group. You got to go to another group. So why not make a group that's based around mental health awareness? And that's what I chose to do.
All y'all in the back? All y'all in the back? Just, has it been, how can I put it, a bad journey to the point where the recognition is still needed, or has it already been recognized? Because y'all strong. Listen, backbone is the family, is the female, is the woman that keeps us together. And you already made it very clear. Mark Dukes did not. So,
Yeah, you have to speak loud.
She can't. I can't hear, bro. I apologize. I just like to know, are you going to be able to move forward in a better light, or the light that has been shined upon you, is it going to bring you down?
Can't tell you.
I told you they gave us 5. We're going to do this 15, but I'm trying to extend it.
Okay.
So that way this don't die down.
Yeah.
You know, when it died down, that means we did our job, because the world knows the rest of the story. Like,
no, we got to keep,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we definitely gonna keep it up. I mean, you know, it was on Good Morning America today. It was on DLU's Instagram page. It was on, you know, national TV. It was on HBO. You know, it was on CNN. So I mean, they talking about it. I'm not mad. It's just that, you know, at the end of the day, man, when you make too much noise, like I said, I'm on bail, man. I can't piss nobody off no more than I already have.
but brother, your point's good. It's about, we got the momentum now. Right. And we want to make sure we leveraging the momentum, not just for the moment, but for the long term and for the long run.
Yeah.
Because hold on. I think the point you made too about the trauma piece, yo. It's like, coming from where we come from, it's hard for us to even identify what trauma even look like. Yeah. I know everybody in here got told, don't run in the streets. Sure. Everybody in here, when it's over 80 degrees, you ain't thinking about cooking out, you're thinking about, oh damn, somebody might get shot tonight. Yeah. Like that, well, that's the main thing too. Like how it's normal. I'm sorry to cut you off. No. I feel like the main thing is too, what all this is about is like the generations after us. Yeah. His grandson, my son that I just had a few years ago, my nephew, these young black brothers safe. Yeah. They're the ones who are going to be more involved with certain things that could reflect to them not coming back home. Yeah. You know, us being adults going through it, we already know how to avoid the cops a certain way. We already know how to do the right thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Put good energy in the air to get it back. But the younger brothers, it's setting a tone for hopefully the cops understand, like, everybody's not the same. Everybody's not committing crimes because they look a certain way. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fact. Because they look like that doesn't mean he's not about something positive. Fact. You know, I'm currently right now, I'm a big brother for men with autism. Bless you. That's what I signed up for. Okay. So all the things I've been doing currently, I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a big brother for men with autism. I'm going to put good energy in the air, live my life a certain way. Yeah. I haven't got harassed. I haven't got bothered. I'm trying to put a certain kind of energy out there. Yeah. So it reflects back. But ultimately, I feel like all this is about is, you know, whether they want to pay somebody or not, whatever the case is, but they got to pay attention. I agree. To understand that we are not the same criminals. We're all not the same involved. That's back to the narrative piece. Exactly. How they see our neighborhood. Yeah. So even if they treat us, even if at the end of the day, there's cops, people watching this, and they understand they're doing a job, they might drive by that one black kid they would have harassed and be like, "Yo, let me pull him over." Now they might be like, "You know what? If I pull him over, I'm gonna get slack for this." Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it comes down to. Yeah. Like, do your job the right way, correctly. Exactly. Stop harassing families. Sorry. Yeah. The more y'all talk, the higher that check number gets. And it's for all of y'all. Because each and every one of you has been affected by this.
for 34 years or 33 years or however long y'all been living getting fired for no reason.
You gotta add the MFA to the list. Add the MFA to the list.
Absolutely. And what kind of conspiracy occurred within the police department around this family? So I want to know who's your attorney and how much are you thinking about?
We'll talk offline with that, yeah.
Are you one? Are you an attorney?
I can't add up that much, but you know, there's been some conversations had, and hopefully they will continue to be had. We're in the process now, you know, trying to obtain one of the legal heads. You know,
hold on for a second. Could the folks in the back keep it down, please? We're not done yet, folks in the back, please. All due respect, appreciate y'all.
I mean, so I got people that's close to Ben Corrupt that's been talking to me. That's, you know, a conversation that I'm gonna have soon. Shout out to my team, Ari, Sonny, Bowie, Time. You know what I'm saying? They behind the scenes, they being in contact with people. Proposal has been done. You know, I don't know if I can say it, but but not nothing like that. But I mean, I definitely, you know, we definitely advocated to turn one of the streets in Mission Hill to Pauline Bennett Way. You know what I'm saying? That's the advocate. You know, that's something that we advocated for. You know,
gotta make that happen.
Yeah. Nah, that's in the conversation. It's in the works. So. Yeah, we're in the process of doing some things. This is gonna help.
Also, real quickly, how can you put a price tag on Joey and Willie? Both were incarcerated with.
No, Antoine too. That's Willie's grandson. Yeah, he was wrongfully convicted too. They snatched him up out of Worcester too. They put an informant on him too. Like Willie took his family to Worcester and didn't stop even when he lived out, of course.
Myself included.
Mike. Come on.
But what I was going to say was, how can you put a price tag on the family members that were lost while everybody was incarcerated? Mm-hmm. Because we can't get that life back. It's gone. Without question.
Without question. Yes.
So we got. Are you an attorney? We got our last two questions. We got our last two questions for the evening. Then we're gonna close with a word from the family. Then I'm gonna pass it back to young James over there.
So I'm Stacy.
Hey, Stacy.
I love you too.
Well,
I'm gonna try to make this short. First, I just want to commend you.
I need you to speak.
I don't think that at that age.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I need you to speak. Don't make it short, but I need you to speak how you normally speak. There you go. Don't even hold back right now.
Okay, so you know how I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna just blast.
Go ahead. Well, do what you need to do.
So I'm just saying at your age, I mean, I experienced that trauma. Women were laid down, brought in hallways, touching our breasts, trying to finger us, and all that type of stuff. That story didn't come out. I was one of those little girls. And so I commend you. I couldn't speak that way from my trauma, from all of that harm from the police. I couldn't do that at your age. So I just want to commend you for that. But so I think the question to you is, you know I know the timeline. You know I do this work. I don't want to ever put you in a position, because you got to win. You're already winning. I love you. I think this whole community, I'm sad that this place isn't full. But I think that our whole community need to come out. We need to talk about the timeline of this one police officer who's haunted me. Peter O'Malley. They spoke about his name twice in your documentary.
He was on the mic. He was the one interviewing Derek when he recanted.
So I just want to kind of give a timeline of what's happening and what has happened in our community. From 1974, Peter O'Malley arrested, wrongful conviction. 1975, wrongful conviction of Milton Jones. 74 was Raymond Gaines. 1986, I mean, I don't know what he did. I know what he did in between. But 1986 coming in and infiltrating the family in our community. 1989 arrested Matt Hudson, wrongful conviction. 1996, then District Attorney Wayne Budd arrested him for 9 misconduct charges and it went away. 1998 came back and arrested you. For retaliation. This is what we need to understand here, what happened in this case. This is a timeline of just cop and Dunn and the rest of them, Curley and Murphy and Keeler and all these same cops that are all in these cases. Logan and the rest of them, Blondie and Driscoll. Right. You planted stuff on us, but you two, I think the question is, I'm not sure what you're bound to, what your lawyer is saying, but I think the world needs to know that this one cop was the lead in this Willie Bennett case and died with a pension in 2017 because the federal government let him go. I need to know why you won't say it. I need you to say that this man came back to get you because you wouldn't say that your uncle.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say a lot, but yeah. But it definitely happened. They definitely took me to trial, found me guilty, sentenced me to life in prison. The same cops that was involved, in that case, the same cops that was involved in the Morning Star case. So I was targeted, like she said, because I was 15 and I was not going to say what they wanted me to say. They didn't let that go. They held on to that. They just found a different set of cops that can, master retaliation. But it was still retaliation, and I have a lot of things to be thankful for. I'm here. I'm with my family. Like, I'm together. I'm, thriving. My org is thriving. Like, we're speaking on this. Like I said, I wanted to make sure that this was told from this side of the family, because the other narrative was always from the police side of the statement, and it always looked at like my uncle was involved. You heard the man say it. You heard the man say it himself when the guy jumped off the bridge, and he said it again. He said, "Oh, I wish Chuck didn't jump off the bridge." We still don't know. We'll never know, right? The only lie detector is done. Yeah.
Now you've got like 20 black men in a room.
Yes. Thank you, Stace. I love you, Stace. You know that. Always.
Stay. My brother, last question for the evening. I wanted to know how you felt about the tragic irony that when it was accused that a black man had committed this crime, that it fit the narrative of the super predator, of the animal, of the monster, the woman killer, the baby killer. But I heard people call Charles Stewart a monster, and he actually had to do something monstrous for us to feel justified to call it, but it didn't change the narrative, So I want to know how you guys feel about the irony that this exposed about what happened in Boston.
Yep, hello? Yep. Well, for me, seeing it, knowing how people get treated in jail, and it's just crazy to see that he got arrested for some stuff like that and was treated like that, and it wasn't true. You know what I'm saying? Me being in prison and going through all that stuff, seeing people that really did that stuff get treated, to think of my grandfather that used to live with me growing up after prison and all that, to see him and him telling me all these stories and all the other stuff, to see this happening and see what he really went through, it's just crazy to me. I can't really explain it, but I felt that, you know what I'm saying? So it's to that point too. You talking about Charles Stewart had to kill his wife and unborn child to be called a monster. We just walk in the streets. As a black man, you can be viewed as an animal and monster. So again, this is back to that narrative piece about how, in the second piece, I always got to do it, how we treat each other.
Because I got no, this is just, I'm gonna get on my soapbox real quick. I got no energy for trying to change the way other people view us. Because we ain't never gonna satisfy whatever box they want to put us in.
Never.
The only thing we can control is how we view each other and how we treat each other. And I think this conversation with this family, this healing moment, is how we can start some community healing, because we all torn up.
From the floor up.
I think that narrative that was spun, all of those things that they said about my brother-in-law, that they tried to ascribe to him, and then when it came out that Charles Stewart actually was the perpetrator, it speaks to the climate of racism that's in Boston itself, because everybody was quick to hop on that bandwagon as soon as this white man made that claim. And immediately the entire police force, the entire power structure in Boston took us back to slavery and ran up on everybody. They didn't care. They didn't care about the description because, as somebody said earlier, it wasn't somebody that was approximately 6 feet tall, approximately 30 years old. They were strip searching teenagers. They were teenagers, as you've seen in the documentary, that were afraid to go home because people would randomly be walking down the street and the cops would jump out. And there were brothers that got pistol whipped, teenagers. So they didn't really care. They looked at us like we were animals, like we were, you know, these creatures that could be treated less than men, less than human. Even after Willie was found not to be, what did Mike Barnacle do? He turned around and still tried to speak to the character of Willie, which had nothing to do with this case. Had that been anybody else, then that name would have died as soon as somebody else was implicated. But Mike Barnacle wants to try to post his IQ scores and his school records. But, I mean, you get somebody that's like a Herb Chambers that never graduated from high school, and you never see anybody talk about or talk down about that man. So what did that have to do with the individual? It had absolutely nothing. They wanted to paint the picture of the monster. They wanted the general white public to believe what they wanted them to believe.
Yeah, they use it to just confirm what they was already prejudiced about. Oh, I'm sorry, Mom.
Oh, that's all right. That's right.
I'm sorry.
I'm usually ignoring.
Stop that. I can tell by that hat nobody ignoring you. I already tell.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to say I'm giving honor to God, my Lord and Savior. You all may not know this, but my name is Dr. Marlene Campbell. Back in the 80s, a young man called Clovis Cobb was murdered at the corners of Maple and Cheney Street. I was a preacher, a young preacher, 30 years old. I'm 72 now. When this happened to you, your family, I went on full throttle in taking it to the streets. I took it to the streets. And sometimes they call me gangster preacher, the gangster woman of God. Let me tell you something. First of all, I admire your family. Admire because this, I think, has happened because of our ancestors. See, people have been praying for you all. You may not see it, you may not know it. But there's some people have been praying for you all to the point where the ancestors had woken up. Listen, don't be silent. But our ancestors has come alive. And I thank God, Mother, I thank God for you, because you look like the oldest one up here. I thank God. Why? Because it's going to take the ancestors in order to change. See, the United States of America.
Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
They bought us. They stole us. And now they owe us.
There you go. There you
go. I want to say this before I go. But I want to say this. When I heard yesterday on the TV, because I had a lawyer that came to me and said, my position have changed since I watched that documentary. I said to myself, you liar, loser, and lunatic. No, it ain't changed. But I want to say this. You all got to know one thing. Don't let people trick you. There's a word they used yesterday on TV. You know anything about reparations?
Oh, so preachers go to the aisle now.
When they identify what happened to you with reparations, no, you need a settlement. Because see, you don't hear enough of us talking about reparations. So when you start talking about reparations, that changes the whole atmosphere. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Oh, go look it up. Reparations. So I want to let you all know that when I heard that word, I use the word reparations. Like I said, you know, they bought us, they stole us, they sold us, owe us.
Okay, man, all right.
Pay us back into what? Make sure we're repaired.
Yes, ma'am. All good. All right. Amen.
So they want us to use compare reparations, but you all know because they don't hear us talk about it. They know we're woke now. Never mind what Trump is saying about woke. Right. We've been woke. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Yes. So what's going to happen is, before they use that reparation for anything, you know, I know that you heard them use reparations for when something happens like this. To disappear. We got to keep talking about exactly what you all are talking about. You got to do it. Because the more we keep it out, and the community comes together, they would have to cut the check.
There you go.
And literally become you all.
Amen. Amen.
Family who's left, can we stand up and give this family some honor, some love, please? This was not easy. This was amazing. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. You deserve everything and more. Mr. Hill in the building, y'all time. They was calling Mission Roxbury too. I loved it when they were saying Roxbury. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Any last words before I pass it to young James?
Yeah. Nah, we just like to say thank you as a family for all y'all coming out. You know, it's been a long day. It's been a long few months. You know, we so happy that we was able to expose what was going on. We was able to change the narrative. We ain't fully changed it. We just shifted it. We shifted. We shook the table up. So, you know, we're going to change the narrative now. You know, we working on other things. And the QR scan code, baby, I'm saying, we got a thing called the Bennett Fund, man. You know, that thing, man, you just scan it out, kid, we put $1 in that, man. Just show us something, man. Show us some love. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, man, this family needs that. We need that. We need that. We need the support. We got kids coming up after us that need the support from y'all, from everybody in the community. Thank you so much. We appreciate y'all.
Right after you take the pictures, we need y'all. Y'all don't got to go home. But in order to honor RCC, we want to thank RCC, the President's Office, Jackie Jenkins Scott, the audio visual, everybody that participated, the Davis System, ABMI, all the folks from RCC, the facilities. I believe we covered everybody, the panelists. We got everybody. So please go that way. Don't come this way. They will greet you all in the hall. All right?
As I said,
I need y'all to understand something, because when I say y'all time, right, honestly, this little gorilla, if y'all watch Planet of the Apes, you see Caesar, Caesar thought his way out of a cage and came home and united a community. That's what I did. That's what I'm trying to do. My family's the community, and the yard is the community, and that's why that little monkey was the logo, but they won't give me no money, so I had to change it.